I just got back from my printers and they gave me some bad news. They won't be printing my charts on Tyvek anymore. Because Tyvek has gotten caught in their machine so many times, and they're just, even though they like the material, the way that the finished product looks, it's not worth it for them to print anymore. And so this is kind of some bad news for me because I print my giant charts on Tyvek, and I have been for years now. I took this opportunity to basically update my charts, right? There's a couple things that I wanted to change, and I have made those updates. So what are those updates? Well, first of all, I'm not going to be printing on Tyvek, which in a way is kind of a good thing. I really like the material. I like the way that it looks, the finished product, but it's a little bit of a challenge to get it hung properly and also framed. I've tried many times to just, glue it down on some foam core and things like that. I get little bubbles in it. It doesn't look absolutely terrible, but it's noticeable. Tyvek is just a little bit of an obscure material that can be challenging, but once you do mount it properly, it's amazing and it looks beautiful. So I wanted to kind of standardize that by changing from Tyvek to paper and lamination, because that's sort of like the standard, right? So you can see behind me on this chart over here, many years ago I got it professionally hung, and it was simple for the framers. I just put it on a piece of foam core, glued it on, and then framed it, and you're done, good to go, right? Where Tyvek is a little bit more challenging. And so you can see behind me now, I've actually mounted this just on a piece of foam core, and it's the new one, so it's on paper and lamination, and it's beautiful. It's easy to use. It was easy to do it myself, and it looks great, right? The end result is it looks fantastic. You're not getting any of the bubbling and things like that. It's durable, easy to clean if it gets dirty, because you can just wipe off, dirt and grime and things like that. So it's more standardized, which is really nice. So that's a huge improvement. And it was really important for me also because I wanted to have these charts available, and as a reflexologist, to let people know what you do in your profession, it's really nice to have a big wall chart like this. And so I have to print them off. So I wanted to do them as environmentally as possible, right? I want them to be as gentle on the earth as possible. And also, I wanted to print them locally. The printing shop is about 15 minutes away from me, and the lamination place is 5 minutes away from the printing place. So I kept it all local, which is really important to me, right? Because it just doesn't make any sense for me to send the charts overseas to get printed and then have them all shipped all the way back just to save a little bit of money, right? And use all those resources in the meantime to get them shipped back over here, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. So if I could do it locally, which I have done, makes me really happy. So that's the first update that I made, was from Tyvek to paper and lamination. The second one, we made the chart just a tiny bit smaller, and the reason being is that shipping, especially to overseas, to the UK and Australia and places like that, New Zealand is also a really popular place that I sell my charts. The shipping is extremely high because of the length of the chart, and it's just because it's over 4 centimeters, the price is triple of what it would be if it was. So here, I'll show you. By cutting off this much right here of the tubes, because I send all my charts in tubes because I want them to arrive, in beautiful condition. And by cutting off this much right here, this little bit right here, this costs me and you, whoever orders these charts, $40 extra, depending on where I'm shipping them, like $30 to $40, this little piece right here. Just because it goes over 60 centimeters, it suddenly jumps up to the next category. So I've shrunk down the charts, and as you can see behind, it's not really much of a difference. You're not going to notice anything as far as once it's up on the wall, right? Basically, the combination of printing them differently and also printing them a little bit smaller and also being able to ship them brings the price of the charts way down, because when I was printing them in Tyvek, I couldn't move at all with the price. I was maxed out already. This is a great solution, so I'm able to print them off locally, laminate them locally, and because I did a large run of them, the cost has come down quite a bit, and the size now, when I ship them, is going to be a lot more reasonable than it has been in the past, right? So these are really great things, especially for you guys who are wanting to have one of my charts up on your wall. There's some other updates that I've been wanting to do, and it's great that this situation came up because now I have implemented those. I've made the text a little bit bigger. So now that's a nice compromise between the visuals on the chart and also the words on the chart. Because for me, it was really important that I wanted this chart to be very visual, and meaning like my chart has a body, an actual anatomical body there that relates to the different angles of the feet, right? So somebody who is not familiar at all with reflexology can look at this chart and kind of go, oh, that's an interesting way that, oh, I see the head is at the top of the big toes there, and, you know, across the toes or all parts of the head. You know, they can see visually how the body lines up on the feet. And that was my main point of making this chart, is to make it visually right away easy to understand. And so text kind of took a back seat to that, but I wanted to kind of bump it up just a little bit because I found it was pretty hard for people to read, right? So if somebody's not familiar with their anatomy, they can get a little bit closer to the chart and see it and read the anatomical names of everything, right? So I think I've made a nice compromise now between the visuals and also the text. The last update that I did, also I've been wanting to implement this for a long time. First time I tried it, it just became too busy, and that's basically adding the adrenal glands. We know how important the adrenal glands are in reflexology and in our stressful lives, right? So I wanted to have a visual representation of this. Being a reflexologist, we know where the adrenal glands are. It's not a big deal, but I wanted to really include these because they're such an important reflex that how can you not make them? And so I've been able to figure out how, because the kidneys sit behind your last ribs on your rib cage there at their back, right? But the way that reflexologists access them is through the plantar surface of the feet. But if you look at my chart, it's anatomically, you know, I have all the anatomy and stuff, and so you're dealing with layers. It's 3D put on a 2D basically surface, right? And so I had to figure out how to kind of make it work, right? And I think I've done a good job of it. So anyway, the adrenal glands are now added. So there you go. Those are the updates that I've made to the giant chart. So it's basically the 2018 update version of the giant reflexology foot chart. So again, I went from printing on Tyvek, so no more, to printing on paper, and then I laminate that. And both of those are done locally, which is really, really cool. And then I've also shrunk down the chart a little bit so that it makes shipping way more reasonable than it has been in the past. And I've bumped up the text so that it's easier to read. And I've added the adrenal glands, which is super important, and excited about that. And it doesn't make it look too cluttered. So that was a really good update. So there you go. Those are the updates. Anyway, thanks for watching today. I hope that answers any questions about the new updated chart. And I did actually make 2 videos on the whole printing process and the whole finishing process of this run of the 2018 giant reflexology chart. So I'll link those in the description and you can watch those. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye bye.